Last month I went on Ori Original's website. If you all know Ori, he's the young Chicano brother who he's done things in the Bay Area for years, but he was the one who did those really simple black and white portraits of our gente who were killed by police violence. So there was, he'd been doing them basically for everybody, but he posted on his website about a month or even farther back, I think. I lose track with how many of us they kill. But he was commemorating that it had been a year already since Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez had been shot. So if you all remember her, like I said, so many of us, our children and our hermanos and hermanas get killed that we do lose track. But she was the sister from Guatemala who, after making the journey some 3,000 odd miles, made it all the way to Tejas and was shot in the head by a Border Patrol agent who claimed that he was being rushed by a crowd of brown folks. So he did what he had to do. He shot her in the head and she died right there. And in that momento, somebody came out and actually Facebooked the last moments, videotaped it, and then Facebooked the event, posted it, to which later the pinche Border Patrol guy retracted his statement. But I wrote a piece for her in a book by Pochino Press, so I just wanted to read that to her now. Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez. As I watch the Facebook video of you lying dead on the ground, I'm wondering if you ever imagined that by simply trying to make your life better, you would be shot in the head. Princesita, as your familia called you, did you know cuando you took those first steps leaving Guatemala that there was a shrine in Tijuana to Juan Soldado with a candela for you burning on it already somehow? Did you ever imagine that if you did manage to make it all the way here to Norte America, it would be considered a genuine milagro? As much as bleeding, healing palmas are, or imágenes of Tonatzing appearing on garage doors in North Richmond, Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez, as you walked and walked, did it ever occur to you that by simply dreaming of a better life, that would be considered an act of aggression over here? Did you ever imagine that when you arrived, your history would be considered a POW. Your entire cultura would be gagged. You would be piñata blindfolded when you got here and spun in circles each and every day. Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez. Did you ever imagine that your brown corpse would be used to reinforce the image of the ruthless savage coming over here? Did you hear the voice of the North American presidente calling you a rapist, an animal, as you walked? Would any of this cross your mind as you crossed fronteras, Guatemala, Mexico, Norte America? I wonder these things as I look online and see image after image of you that people have begun to lovingly recreate. Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez, did you know that if you got here, you would be considered illiterate? You would be considered illiterate for having the knowledge of multiple cultures inside of you. On the nights when you rested outside, did you look up at las estrellas and know that the government of estos estados jodidos had already disappeared thousands of other niños and niñas who looked just like you already? Did you know that when you got here, just by speaking your idioma, that would be considered an act of hostility? Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez, did you ever imagine that when you got here, people would look at you with a hatred that would be considered patriotic? Did you imagine the corrugated metal walls of the border? Did you imagine the dusty streets of Rio Bravo? Did you imagine that your padre was waiting for you somewhere on este lado with flores for you? Claudia Patricia Gómez González. Did you know that aquí en Aztlán, the mariposas carry around the souls of the dead? Did you ever imagine that you would be a mariposa on this side of the border? When you saw his face, did you know he was your death? Or was he unrecognizable underneath the border patrol cap that he wore on his head? You were never going to know. We're never going to know any of this, but I think that some part of you knew these things very well, Princesita. You knew these things were waiting for you, along with so many other possibilities. You knew it very well, Princesita, as you walked guerrillera brave towards North America. Claudia Patricia Gómez González. And then when you get to the border, you get in here, and then you got other borders inside. And you're a brown-skinned citizen, but that don't mean shit. Maybe when we go outside, they're going to ask us something. Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, keep your hands, skin color, and languages where we can see them while we ask you the following questions. Can you provide us with an original birth certificate with the raised seal, as well as an ID for your ID and a witness to the witness who supposedly saw you born within the borders of these disunited states? If you cannot provide such documentation, step forward and answer the following questions. Are you currently residing within the borders of these disunited states as a monolinguist or a bilinguist? If you're a monolinguist, step to the side and continue to breathe in English slowly. If you are a bilinguist, step forward and answer the following questions. Does it hurt in English when you swallow Mexican pride? Do you dream in English more than 4 times a week? Does your mispronouncement of English words follow immediate and sincere shame? Have you ever used your second language in an act of violence? Have you ever used your second language to help someone understand something that we did not want them to understand? Do you have any Mexican slang stashed under your tongue? Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, what was your mother's maiden name before the colonizers raped and then baptized her? Have you recently spoken to any of your ancestors' spirits that we beheaded? Have you ever cried or left flowers or explosives along the border where the Texas Rangers killed a brown man or a woman? How many family members do you have in your front pocket right now? Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, would you consider shortening or changing your history so that it's easier for Americans to pronounce it? Are there any bones out there buried in American soil that will speak up on your behalf? Have you ever worked as a stereotype before? Can you provide us with receipts for every time you have supposedly been called a wetback, a spick, a beaner, an immigrant? Has anyone ever paid you under the table to take their American jobs because it was too hard for them to work? Would you press charges if someone shot you in English? Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, are you able to avoid reading in between the lines of the Pledge of Allegiance? Are you able to misinterpret just enough so that you can feel some pride on the 4th of July? Can you translate the lines of the national anthem to your children and have them mean something else entirely? Do you set your clock back every 6 months for colonized daylight savings time? Do you need an interpreter to explain to you that we have put your children in cages because we don't want them to live? Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, keep your hands, skin color, and languages where we can see them while we evaluate your answers. I'm gonna do something weird and read fragments. I'm gonna read 2 more fragments and I'm gonna be done because like we said earlier, Kim's wonderful theme for this reading was poems of hope for immigrant children. Strangely enough, I found this book. I guess I started in June, my notebook, and June 12th I found a prayer for the immigrant children. I don't know. The title of it is scribbled very strangely. This is the way I write. Praying for this is not what I should feel sorry about. So, I have taken to praying, not like the silent morning gracias that I give every morning, or the burning of copal, juniper, y cedar to the abuelos. No, these prayers are different. I am still on mis rodillas, ojos cerrados. But now, I pray not to give mi gente peace, but to give them power. I pray now for ya basta balazos and cages torn open like paper. I pray now to our Mexica gods for them to appear, their dualities on their rostros, angry, ready to purify all of this. I pray to the left-handed colibre. I pray to el divino Huitzleopochtli. I pray to Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, to change all of this and to bring red blood to this. I am ashamed to admit violence, but it's come to this. I am ashamed to tell the gentle side of mi Maria Azul, who is not Tonatzin, who is my abuela, that I am asking for violence. I am asking for Olin in the other direction to roll over these pinche bigots, to kill them with a plague out of their own vengeful Bible. I simmer bullets in a pan. Very carefully. Candelas burn. Today's darkness is my obsidian mirror, and I give him to Tezcatlipoca. I tell him to aim at that monstro's head, that orange monstro. I pray for that. I pray for Tezcatlipoca to blow its head open, and at the same time, all across Aztlán, the piñata images of him will explode as well. I pray for clandestino tunnels dug from Mixlan to Califaslan. I pray for you to transform the frontera into comfort, to a place to rest from a journey that is more than one lifetime, more than one death made by children. I pray that my prayers could be called pipe bombs these days. They could be homemade straw ice dolls that we burn and explain nothing to the ashes. I pray. But my prayers are shaped like a macuitli because he used the term millions when referring to the number of nuestra gente who will be rounded up. I remember Carmelita Torres and wonder where her bones are, and I get choked up. My prayers are trying to cause that final terremoto under this quinto sol, because Norte America no tiene memoria. So we could just start over. That's what I pray for. That's what I pray for. This is my last piece, and this came out of the workshop we just did. So, thank you all for listening to. What is it that moves through the border? Memorias y momentos that existed and occurred before there were border checkpoints out here. What is it that moves through the border? Espíritus holding hands, rest under sleeping nopales, noticed only by el conejo en la luna. They go back and forth in la noche, over a línea that cannot be seen from Ixtlán. En el día pasan las mariposas, their orange wings powdered not with pollen, but with dry amarillo espíritus of those that did not make it. There, left behind, huesos that no one will ever find. A torn, checkered camisa is blown across la frontera, moving like a pulpo across the desert ground. The wind pushes the camisa up into el cielo azul, and from far, far away, that torn, checkered camisa looks like a story my abuelo once told me about when he first crossed into El Paso. Gracias, y'all.